The next character that we're going to talk about is Li Yuan. She is the mother of Sulan in both incarnations of this story. And I have to say, Li Yuan is one of those energies that has shown up in my life to challenge me and to make me uncomfortable and to make me examine myself. And I've talked a little before about how my writing journey is very much a part of my spiritual growth and development in this lifetime. My writing, in many instances, has forced me to confront fears, step through fear, and grow as both a person and a spiritual being. So I very much have accepted that my writing in this life, that's part of the role that it plays as part of my spiritual development. And to me, Li Yuan was definitely an example of that. And what's really interesting is she's always been this revolutionary energy, and when I wrote the first incarnation of her, I chickened out. I did not accept the invitation that she presented. I wrote her very safe. I wrote the traditional story of she had boyfriend A, she had boyfriend B, she loved them both, but she ultimately had to choose one, and she did, and life goes along happily ever after. But that's never been the story that Li Yuan wanted to tell. And if you haven't read book one, you might want to stop. It's a tad spoilery. I don't think it really spoils the adventure that you have in book one, but it does give stuff away. So you can decide if you want to keep listening. I definitely grew up on a diet of the love triangle. So let's talk about the love triangle, right? You've got Bella, Edward, and Jacob from Twilight. They're probably one of the most famous love triangles. And even from The Walking Dead, right? We have Lori, Shane, and Rick. Lori and Rick are married. She thinks Rick is dead, and so she hooks up with Shane. And then, oh my gosh, Rick comes back, and suddenly there's two men that she's in love with, and massive drama ensues as you know, she's got to pick between them and get her house in order. So it's very interesting. I don't know if anyone's ever thought about this, but what if, when Rick came back, what if Lori didn't pick? What if Lori just said, look, Rick, I'm sorry. I thought you were dead. I fell in love with your best friend, but I still love you both, and I want to be with you both. And it's definitely a very unconventional, revolutionary question, and this is very similar to the character of Li Yuan and the situation that she finds herself in, whereas she thinks one husband is dead, she remarries, her life has moved on, 17 years pass, and suddenly they find each other again. And so here she's in this situation where she's actually basically married to two men, and they're both looking at her and they're waiting for her to make her decision. Who are you going to choose? And she finally looks at both of them and says, look, I'm not choosing. This isn't my fault. I love you both. We're all going to be one family, and you guys are going to have to deal with it. And I was like I said, I was definitely a little nervous writing the storyline that way because it's very unconventional. And I was talking about it with my husband, and he pointed out, he said, you know, Camille, the story of who she chooses is really not that interesting. It's been done, it's overdrawn. What's really interesting is what happens after she makes her choice, right? After she tells her family that, look, we're all going to live together under one roof. I'm going to have two husbands, and you're all just going to have to deal with it. That's really the interesting story is, holy shit, now what happened? Like, there's no playbook for this. And this is a 4-book series, and throughout the 4-book series, there is the underlying thread of the journey that this family takes as they're all kind of wrestling with this unconventional family model that they find themselves in this afterworld. And I feel really grateful to have been taken on that journey. I'm really grateful that I finally grew a pair and wrote Li Yuan's character as she always wanted to be written. And I hope you enjoy her journey and the journey of her Afterworld family as much as I did.